Alright, look. The Necronomicon is an account of the old ones, their history, and the means for summoning.
Also known as the Mad Arab, Abdul Alhazred has often made an appearance across H.P. Lovecraft's iconic horror stories. Introduced in a world of cosmic horror, Abdul Alhazred maintains a prestigious position in the lore, and is considered to be the author of the most famous book in horror history, the Necronomicon. This book is said to contain knowledge beyond the earth, and Abdul Alhazred seems to be the bearer of this wisdom in the Lovecraftian universe. Today, we'll explore his origins in detail, and tell you all about this Mad Arab who pinned down the Necronomicon. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Who is Abdul Alhazred? While Abdul Alhazred sounds like an Arabic name, the name Abd Alhazred seems to be the more correct Arabic form. Regardless, this name is still not one of the 99 names of God, and Arabic texts usually refer to him as Abdullah Alhazred. His surname roughly translates to the one who is banned, and there is quite a bit of speculation as to whether his name in the Lovecraftian universe was intentional. Most of these texts named him as the Mad Arab instead of using Alhazred's name, and Lovecraft introduced him as a mad poet from Sana'a, Yemen. According to his texts, Alhazred flourished during 700 CE and spent many years of his life journeying across the ruins of Babylon, the subterranean Memphis, and the southern desert of Arabia. While wandering around these deserts, known as the Roba el Khalieh, or the Empty Quarter, as well as the Dana or Crimson Desert in modern Arabia, Alhazred learned that these places were full of protective evil spirits and deathly monsters. He studied the tales of those who had wandered around these spaces and lived to tell the tale, and he eventually settled down in Damascus. Most of Alhazred's biography has been extracted from his writings in the Necronomicon, and Lovecraft suggests that he wrote this book around 730 CE while living in Damascus. Also known as Al-Azif, this ultimate book of evil eventually became well known as the Necronomicon. And just like anyone who ever interacts with the book, Alhazred met an unfortunate end. According to Lovecraft's story, History of Necronomicon, there are many conflicting versions of Alhazred's final disappearance in 738 CE. According to a 13th century biographer named Ibn Khaldun, Alhazred was captured by an invisible monster who devoured his body in front of a bunch of horror-struck eyewitnesses. He also supposedly drove himself to insanity and claimed that he saw the fabulous city of pillars, Irem. Moreover, Alhazred also claimed that he had discovered the ruins of a desert town during his adventures, where he learned all kinds of secrets about a race much older than humankind. He also gave up on his true religion and started worshipping all kinds of strange deities, known as Yog-Sothoth and Cthulhu. The origins of the Necronomicon. Since Alhazred is famously associated with the Necronomicon, let us dive into the origins of this book, which were explored in Lovecraft's short story, History of the Necronomicon. This book is considered to be a fictional eldritch tome, and Lovecraft wrote about it to keep track of his references and ensure that they're consistent. Eventually, this book was published in 1938 after Lovecraft's death, and it provided some insights into its author, Abdul Alhazred. He was born in Sana'a, Yemen, and the book then documented his travels all over the world before highlighting his supposed death in 738 CE. The book's original Arabic title was Al-Azif, which is quite literally translated to nocturnal sounds made by demons. The book was later translated into Greek by Theodorus Philetus, who called it the Necronomicon in 950 CE, and many other translations emerged in the following years. Unfortunately, the Greek translations were lost after the Salem witch trials in 1692, and the book has also been banned at numerous points in history over the years. According to Lovecraft's sketch, the Necronomicon can be found in 5 libraries in the world, namely the British Museum, Paris Bibliothèque Nationale, Harvard's Widener Library, and Miskatonic University at Arkham and the University of Buenos Aires. He further elaborated on these locations to highlight that these books might be part of a private collection, and he reported that a famous American millionaire was rumored to have a 15th century Latin edition. Another Greek text version was rumored to belong to the Pickman family in Salem, but the book disappeared with Richard Upton Pickman in 1926. In these fictional worlds, one can only imagine the kind of prestige that Abdul Alhazred had, especially after his book was revered and passed down across generations in secrecy. The death and madness of Alhazred. While Lovecraft has given his own account of Alhazred, August Derleth had his views on this character. He wrote about him in The Keeper of the Key, where he stated that he died in 731 CE, as opposed to other beliefs surrounding his death. According to Derleth, Dr. Laban Shrewsbury and his assistant stumbled upon Alhazred's burial site in the Nameless City. This city caught Dr. Shrewsbury's eye, as it was related to Hastur, and as one of his oldest agents, he took it upon himself to walk past its gates and find Alhazred's burial site. He then discovered that Damascus kidnapped Alhazred and took him to the Nameless City. After reading all about the Necronomicon, Damascus associated the place with the secrets of the book, and he further felt that Alhazred had betrayed the place by revealing it to all the world. He then tortured him and even blinded him, and the torture continued for quite some time until they finally cut his tongue off and executed him. When Dr. Shrewsbury examined the place, he saw the rugs, bones, and dust that had been collected in the sarcophagus, as well as an incomplete copy of the Necronomicon. Written in Arabic, the book contained many dark secrets, and Shrewsbury then used it to recall Alhazred's spirit and ask him if he could draw a map of the world. After getting his hands on the map, Shrewsbury was content with finally knowing the location of Urlier and other secret locations of the world, and then sent Alhazred's spirit to rest eternally. Alhazred's influence in the mythos. Alhazred's name has appeared on many instances across the mythos, and he was said to worship entities such as Cthulhu and Yog-Sothoth. In Alan Moore's Providence, he was introduced as Lovecraft's literary equivalent of a real-world alchemist, called Hali or Khalid ibn Yazid. According to Moore, Alhazred was Lovecraft's spin on this real-world alchemist, who had written down the Kitab al-Hikman al-Najmiyah, which literally translates to the Book of the Wisdom of the Stars. Another character, Alan Hazred, was introduced as a modern-day descendant of Alhazred in the writings of Franklin C. Wright. Behind the mythos of Abdul Alhazred. Interestingly, Abdul Alhazred was a pseudonym used by none other than Lovecraft himself when he first started writing at a young age. He seemingly stumbled upon the name while reading 1001 Nights at the age of 5, or heard it from a lawyer family friend, and Lovecraft then went on to give up this pseudonym and immortalize it in his writings instead. Interestingly, Alhazred was the first Lovecraftian name to be used by another author in his published works, which can be traced all the way back to Frank Belknap Long's novel The Weresnake in 1925. Abdul Alhazred in Marvel. Abdul Alhazred has also made quite an extensive appearance in the Marvel Universe, where he was seemingly born in the 8th century in the Umayyad Caliphate. He then went on to create the Necronomicon tome and even patterned it after the Darkhold. Some sources suggest that he might have been inspired by the Darkhold, and the Necronomicon was truly a manifestation of his black magic knowledge. Alhazred seemingly sought inspiration from the ancient writings that were inscribed on the walls of Urlier in the city of Aqueos as well, just like many other mystic scrolls such as the Oracles of Zoroaster. Over time, Alhazred embarked on many adventures in the Marvel Universe, and one of them ended with his spirit being trapped in a pocket dimension known as Pellucidar. This realm was located in the depths of subterranean Earth, and many sources hypothesize that he took his last breaths in Pellucidar, while others claim that the great race of Yith took it upon themselves to transport his spirit there. His spirit was then stored within a crystal of the reptilian Mahars of Pellucidar, and around 1920, the portal to this realm was finally discovered. Alhazred's spirit then took control over a man's mind and reshaped his body to take a more powerful form before announcing his return. Soon enough, he took control over a bunch of slayers, and he intended to make a ton of sacrifices to the crystal to regain his full power. Eventually, Tarzan intervened and put a stop to his crazy ideas, which ended the crystal feeding off Alhazred's energies and leaving him weak before finally draining him into ashes. In modern times, Alhazred finally announced his return when he attempted to take control of Madripoor's syndicate. He even went as far as to confront Wolverine, but the plan backfired in his face, and he was eventually sent to the Banished Realm for all eternity. For instance, he had a wide range of magical powers that allowed him to teleport in a cloud of green smoke, or even summon demonic creatures from other realms. In Marvel Comics, Alhazred had superhuman strength and durability, as well as total control over minds and actions. He could endure a direct gunshot to his head without any fatalities, and he once even faced Logan in a fight and took a direct hit to the gut without letting it faze him in the slightest. Abdul Alhazred in popular media. Alhazred notably made quite an impressive appearance in Marvel Comics, but that's not his only popular media appearance in recent times. An extremely accurate version of the Mad Arab once appeared in an episode of South Park titled Coon vs. Coon and Friends. In this episode, Kenny McCormick takes on a new alias, Mysterion, and embarks on an adventure to stop an awakened Cthulhu who was now working alongside Eric Cartman. As he delves deep into Cthulhu's awakening, Mysterion learns that he has returned to life through the Necronomicon, and he then reads it in depth to understand these dark forces of nature. While he flips through the pages, we get a glimpse of the book's creator, Alhazred, and he appears as a bearded Middle Eastern man in flowy clothes. He also seems to be standing among the ruins in the desert, and this image is captioned with his date of birth in 700 CE, as well as the nickname Prince. While this nickname had not made its way to Lovecraftian's extensive writings, South Park gave him a new characteristic of royalty itself, even if it deviates from the source material. Marvelous verdict. And with that, we have explored Abdul Alhazred's origins, as well as all his crazed adventures through H.P. Lovecraft's writings. While he might be a fictional character, Alhazred's creation, the Necronomicon, has ensured that he has left behind quite a lasting legacy, not just for himself, but for Lovecraft's works at large. We hope you enjoyed exploring his roller coaster of a life, and we would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.